to tell you right now, if you're talking to me back in the studio, I apologize. I cannot hear you because the crowd here is entirely too rowdy. As soon as the 49ers failed to score that touchdown on fourth down, the crowd here went crazy. I'm now being sprinkled with confetti. This is a good night.
Ray Lewis all day.
What is a night of celebration is now starting to turn into something a little bit chaotic and a little bit dangerous. Take a look at what we've got here. This is our news car. We've got Ravens fans trying to take off their shirts. They're dancing on the car here on our live truck. That mast, I can tell you, was kind of a scary situation. You don't want to be there. A lot of fans out here are really just looking to celebrate and have a good time. Unfortunately, we've got a rowdy crowd, and so we're bound to have a few incidents. We know that there are hundreds of police out here in Federal Hill right now trying to keep the situation under control. Obviously, that's not working out at the moment, but they are out here with their horses, the mounted patrol for crowd control. You know, this situation really just grew in the last 15 minutes or so once the Ravens became the Super Bowl champions. It's really hard to hear out here. Obviously, there's a big party going on. I'm just hoping that everybody keeps it safe and that no one gets hurt.
Melinda Roeder's streaming live in Westminster at the State Police Barracks there. Hi, Melinda.
Hi, Jennifer. Several inches of snow, followed by sleet, and now we've got the freezing rain. This car right here is a pretty good example of what the folks in Carroll County had been dealing with. You can see this car really hasn't been cleared off for most of the night. The plows came through. They've even caked more snow around the car, so this is going to be an adventure. I'm going to adjust my microphone so that you can just take a listen to the kind of crunchy snow that we are dealing with here. You can really hear that freezing rain that landed on top of the snow. Obviously, weather like this creates some very slick conditions and heavy piles on all the parking lots.
Well, this fire broke out less than 4 hours ago, and as you can see, firefighters are still on the scene tonight. They are dousing the hot spots in what used to be the center of the structure. The building is now destroyed, all 3 levels. The most intense moments came immediately after the front of the brick building came tumbling over onto a fire truck that was parked below.
It's unbelievable.
It's really bad.
The flames broke out on the first floor. Within the first 10 minutes, the entire 3-story brick building was on fire.
This is a pretty big fire. Up to 4 alarms right now. We have just about 100 firefighters here on the scene.
Commanders quickly assessed the damage, deeming the building too unstable. Crews are ordered to evacuate immediately, but before everyone gets out, a bad situation turns worse.
We heard a big whoosh, and we could see the front of the building just fall on the firefighters.
We saw the firemen in the building, and all of a sudden the front of the building just fell off onto the fire truck.
There was a complete collapse of the structure.
Firefighters frantically work to dig 5 of their own out from under the debris. They're all taken to the hospital.
I hope they got all of them out.
Did they make it out? I hope so.
More trucks are called in to help while a crowd gathers to watch them work.
I don't know what's going on right now. Waiting to see what's going on.
We live around the corner, and when we came down, we just saw everything engulfed in flames.
Fire officials figure a strategy to fight the flames from the outside.
So right now, what you see is ladder pipes in place, monitor pipes in place, and hand lines in place. We want to stay as far away from the building as we can safely.
Turns out the building contains plenty of wood for burning.
I believe that's our lumber yard.
Oh, that's wood burning right there. Brand new wood.
The Lumber Company, a longtime business downtown.
It's been here for maybe 50 years, something like that.
This neighborhood is really old.
Luckily, the flames are limited to 2 buildings, and despite several injuries, there are no fatalities among firefighters or civilians.
We're very fortunate in this instance that no one lost their lives.
I mean, it's quite a spectacle to see them fighting the fire, all the fire department coming together as a really great team.
Okay, look, see up the very top? There are an awful lot of bees.
Just off the highway in Howard County.
It looks like a madhouse / city.
A thriving colony has formed.
25,000 maybe. maybe more.
Their hive was left exposed after storms moved through Monday night. The tree they'd burrowed in ripped in half.
Well, they stay here, they're gonna die. With the weather coming in, this bad weather or hard rain would kill them.
It's not going to be good for the bees.
So Alex Ellis watches the rescue attempt now underway.
What we're gonna do is actually transplant their colony that's in the tree into these frames.
All the bees that they managed to salvage from the tree will be transferred into boxes like these and then moved to another section of the farm. Hopefully, they're gonna like their new home.
It's hard to say because bees just have a mind of their own.
He's starting to smoke her, right?
Yeah, he's got it going.
We're gonna need it.
Jason Ellis and a small team of bee wranglers carefully cut away pieces of honeycomb.
When we start cutting it out, they're gonna get pretty angry.
This is his passion. He does it all the time.
They search for the one member of the colony who can make this mission possible.
Queen has to lay thousands of eggs every day.
If we get the queen, we have the hive. They won't leave her behind.
It's up to the queen. If she moves, they move.
It's a slow, delicate process.
We're gonna be here a couple hours.
Put your finger right here.
A sticky situation worth sharing.
Delicious. That is liquid gold from Western Howard County.
A bittersweet moment today on the Martin family farm. Their favorite oak gone, but it's a new beginning for their bees.
You know, life goes on.
Melinda Roeder, Fox 45 News at 10. Their reasons for being here may vary somewhat.
Oh, I love to sell.
But it's clear they share a bond.
My whole family is military.
My grandson is active duty. He's on his third tour in Afghanistan.
My father-in-law was at D-Day. He had 3 Purple Hearts.
In 2001, my son was one of 6 Boston High School graduates that went into the Marine Corps.
This is for the troops.
Patriotic pride. It's the common thread that binds them together.
So I'm almost finished this one. I'm putting the border on it.
A community of quilters on a mission to carefully create kaleidoscopes of color.
I mean, you can imagine there's thousands of these little tiny stitches in this quilt.
Some ladies work better alone, others in teams.
Tuck that in, and then you see how pretty that is?
The more experienced are happy to teach their talents.
I like it.
Are you excited? My dear.
It's like family. And it truly is. It's like family.
Carol Hansen started it all, recruiting a group of volunteers who gather weekly
every Monday night
around the rapid clickety-clack and hum of sewing machines at the Aberdeen Proving Ground military installation.
I have quite an extensive stash of patriotic fabrics.
A very fitting location, considering who the quilts are created for.
I am a wounded warrior.
Combat wounded service members like Sergeant Elijah Mack.
When I was at Walter Reed recovering from my injuries, I received 2 blankets.
And Kelly Keck, who earned his Purple Heart in Afghanistan.
I was a medic, and we're just out on patrols and up armored vehicles like the ones they test here. And it had gotten blown up going over a mine, so I got out to check on, being a medic, to check on injuries, and I stepped on a mine myself.
The quilts, they say, help bring comfort during a time of chaos and recovery.
And so I wrote them a letter and said thank you. This helped me while I was doing my recovery process.
Really amazing, and just made me feel real good.
I can handle that.
For the quilters, it's a way to serve those who serve us all.
It personally brings me comfort to be able to do something.
It's a quilt of valor.
And through their painstaking efforts,
every one of those stitches, we're stitching more love in it.
They simply hope to relieve a little of someone else's pain.
I hope whoever receives it knows that it was stitched with love.
Melinda Roeder, Fox 45 News. It's a pricey piece of waterfront land.
The greatest development site on the East Coast.
And the developer has big plans to build a corporate office complex here. The biggest tenant, multi-billion-dollar energy giant Exelon, along with space for stores and residents.
This project represents a once-in-a-generation opportunity to grow Baltimore by attracting new jobs, new residents, new tax revenue, and new public amenities for all residents to enjoy.
Today's city leaders lined up to show their support.
Because all I want to see is jobs, jobs,
jobs.
But the project could be getting a lot of taxpayer support too. A $107 million tax bonus called a TIF that the developer considers a must.
If the TIF doesn't get approved, what we see here today is what we will see for a long period of time, unfortunately.
But not everyone supports the taxpayer subsidy. Critics call it corporate welfare.
I think this might be the worst deal ever. So we're saying to $1 billion corporation and $1 billion developers, here's some welfare money for you.
The tax deal allows the builder to use more than $100 million in future property taxes he'd otherwise be paying to the city to instead help finance his private project, providing he build certain infrastructure here like a bridge, a promenade, and a public park. The city board that approved the deal stands behind it.
There's no risk to the city's bottom line.
But when we asked about other TIFs with developers who've struggled to pay their end of the bargain, their response?
You know, I think if we continue to dwell in negativity, we're never going to be able to grow this city.
Still, why would this type of subsidy be needed to grow such a valuable piece of waterfront land?
It will be even more valuable.
Even if it does become more valuable, the property will still be privately owned. Melinda Roeder, Fox 45 News at 10.
Are you going to open the meeting at any point? Excuse me? Are you going to open the meeting at any point?
After the consideration of this item, we'll open it again.
It's another closed-door meeting. A city board voting on a controversial tax break, a $107 million deal kept secret from the media and the public.
When you have a tax break like this that's giving millions of dollars to a special interest, you're essentially setting up a slush fund for them to take advantage of.
Public interest groups like Marilyn Perg are concerned about a lack of scrutiny and transparency on this project. A plan to build a corporate headquarters for the multi-billion-dollar energy company Exelon here on this piece of waterfront land. It sits right next to pricey Harbor East prime real estate. But the private developer wants a huge tax break from the city, and so far, city leaders have been quick to approve it while refusing to disclose anything about it. When the Baltimore Development Corporation granted preliminary approval for the tax break, Fox 45 filed a formal request for details, but the city told us they are withholding that information. And today, when the City Board of Finance took up the issue, they decided to close the meeting, shutting out all media and the public.
So please, I ask you all to please exit so we can conduct our business. Thank you.
Just before conducting the city's business, this city board charged with making decisions about your tax dollars kicked us out. They did eventually reopen the meeting to us and the Baltimore Sun as they adjourned. All we were told is they gave full approval to the huge tax break.
And as members of the finance board left the meeting room, not one of them bothered to explain his or her vote. A vote taken in complete secrecy.
But then again, this development deal has been kept behind closed doors from the start.
It just is a big warning flag that they don't have the public's best interest at heart.
A controversial decision by Baltimore's Board of Finance is now under fire for illegal secrecy. State legal experts confirm the board violated open meetings laws by shutting the public and the media out of an important vote regarding your tax dollars. Melinda Roeder live from City Hall with more on the story you saw first on Fox. Melinda.
Well, Fox 45 and the Baltimore Sun filed formal complaints after we were kicked out of a public meeting of the City Finance Board back in May. Now the State Compliance Board has rendered this legal decision, saying the Finance Board broke the law by kicking us out.
It was May 20th that the City Finance Board met behind closed doors after chasing us out. On the agenda that day, a controversial tax break called a TIF, a tax subsidy worth more than $100 million, designated for a developer who has plans to build out Baltimore's Harbor Point.
It wasn't personal.
Today, the clerk of the Finance Board, the same man who kicked us out, says he does not regret that action, despite a decision by the State Compliance Board, which concluded the Finance Board violated the Open Meetings Act by closing that meeting to the public.
Generally, if you can't do the public business in a public manner, then you got to wonder what's being hidden.
So what is the penalty for violating an open meetings law? Well, apparently Maryland states are weaker than most states, and it turns out that there are no repercussions that apply in this case. None. But the clerk of the City Finance Board did tell me that this may influence his decision on whether to close future meetings. And by the way, their regularly scheduled board meeting for today was canceled. Live from City Hall, Melinda Roeder, Fox 45 News at 5:30.